My husband was at home, and we were in the bathroom. I never imagined that I would find myself in this situation, betraying the man I had vowed to love forever. Yet, here I was, in the dimly lit bathroom, pressed against the cold tiles, my breath shallow, my heart pounding in my chest. My husband, Daniel, was at home, just a few rooms away, and I was in the arms of another man. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. It started innocently, or at least that's what I told myself. Caleb was a friend, someone I had known for years. He had been there for me during the rough patches in my marriage, listening, comforting, and eventually igniting something inside me that I thought had long faded. Daniel and I had been together for 10 years. Our marriage, once filled with passion and excitement, had become routine, predictable. We lived under the same roof but existed in separate worlds. The love was still there, or at least the memory of it, but the connection, it had slipped through our fingers like sand, leaving behind an emptiness that I couldn't ignore. And then came Caleb. It started with long conversations over coffee, stolen glances, and lingering touches that lasted just a second too long. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't stop myself. He made me feel alive again, desired, wanted, something I hadn't felt in years. That night, Daniel had come home early from work. I had planned to meet Caleb at a hotel, somewhere neutral, somewhere far from my home, my life, my husband. But fate had other plans. Caleb had shown up at my house unexpectedly, whispering that he just needed to see me, if only for a few minutes. Against my better judgment, I let him in. We barely made it to the bathroom before his lips crashed against mine. It was reckless, dangerous, but I didn't care. I needed him. His hands roamed my body, pulling me closer, making me forget where I was until we heard it. The sound of footsteps. My blood turned to ice. Daniel was awake. He was moving through the house, his voice calling my name. Panic surged through me as I pulled away from Caleb, my mind racing. There was no way out, no escape. If Daniel found us like this, it would be over. My marriage, my life as I knew it. Caleb looked at me, his face tense. "What do we do?" he whispered. I didn't have an answer. The bathroom door was locked, but it wouldn't hold for long. Daniel's voice was closer now, just outside the door. "Babe, are you in there?" His voice was laced with suspicion. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to remain steady. "Yeah, just taking a shower." A pause. Then, "Why is the door locked?" My hands trembled as I clutched Caleb's arm. This was it. There was no way out of this. Caleb's eyes darted around the small space, looking for an escape, but there was none. We were trapped. Then, as if fate had twisted the knife deeper, Daniel tried the handle. It rattled violently. "Open the door," he demanded. I hesitated, my mind racing for an excuse, a lie, anything to buy us time. Caleb shook his head, his breathing heavy. "You have to face him," he murmured. I turned to him, my stomach in knots. "And what about you?" He exhaled sharply. "I'll take the blame if I have to." Tears pricked my eyes. This wasn't how I wanted it to end, but I had no choice. With shaky hands, I unlocked the door. Daniel stood there, his expression unreadable. His eyes flicked to Caleb, then back to me. A slow, painful realization dawned across his face. "You," he breathed. "In my house?" His voice was eerily calm, but I could see the rage building beneath the surface. Caleb took a step forward. "Daniel, listen." But before he could finish, Daniel lunged. The next moments were a blur, shouts, fists flying, bodies colliding. I screamed for them to stop, but neither of them heard me. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it was over. Caleb lay on the floor, blood trickling from his lip. Daniel stood over him, his chest heaving. His eyes, filled with betrayal, finally met mine. "How long?" he asked, his voice raw. Tears streamed down my face. "Daniel, how long?" I hesitated, knowing that whatever I said next would determine our fate. 6 months, I whispered. He closed his eyes, as if absorbing the weight of my confession. When he opened them again, the love I once knew was gone. "Get out," he said coldly. I glanced at Caleb, then back at my husband, the man I had betrayed, the man who had once been my everything.